As you get closer to the 7,000 meter mark and it gets very, 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 very cold, then you probably have to switch to an expedition shoe like this one. So these shoes, this is the La Sportiva Olympus Mons Ice Cube. This is the state of the art. And yeah, probably one of the best expedition and high altitude shoes you can wear right now, because these shoes have great features to keep your feet warm. So let's have a look what is going on with these shoes. So first of all, you have a, how do you say that in English? In German you call it Gamache, whatever, some kind of yeah, protective layer that is going over your ankle. Make sure no snow is getting into your shoe and you're secure from higher snow. But yeah, another quite important feature is like the inner shoe. So this shoe comes with two more inner shoes. This one I personally never used inside that shoe when I climbed on my first 8,000er. I used this one in the tent, in the base camp, but I never really used this shoe inside there, because look at this, there is hold on. There is another inner shoe. And this is actually super important, and most modern expedition shoes have this. The reasoning is your feet get very, very, very cold up there because it's super cold, and also you're moving kind of slowly up there, depending if you're using oxygen or not. But you're moving so slow, your heart rate is not enough to circulate and transport all the blood through your body. And the first things that get cold are your fingers and your feet or your toes, and these are the first ones usually that you lose when they get too cold. So this is awesome, because when you sleep overnight in your tent, keep these in your tent, that way they stay kind of warm. And what I usually do is in the night before the summit, or before I go into my shoes the next morning, I am usually sleeping with these shoes on, you know, on my feet, or I have them at least in my sleeping bag close to my body so they stay warm.
Last night, before going to the summit, the downsuit is on, my inner boots of my La Sportiva shoes are on. I will be sleeping additionally in the sleeping bag. I won't use the rucksack. Here are my shoes. I try to keep them close so they're not too cold tomorrow morning. My harness, my helmet. This is my emergency oxygen bottle in case I feel bad at night, but I'm not gonna take it to the summit. Yeah, and that's me. I'm very exhausted. I didn't have enough sleep last night. This could probably cost me the summit. We will see if I get proper sleep tonight, and then if I can reach the summit. Yeah, so it's about 6 o'clock, maybe 5 o'clock, I don't know. Now 6 o'clock, and gonna go to bed now. The alarm goes 2-3 a.m. Then I put on my equipment, and then I try to summit my first 8,000 meter mountain without oxygen. Let's see how it goes.
So that way what happens is they're already warm. I put them on, or I already have them on, go out of my sleeping bag. I go into these shoes right now, and they are warm. In the morning, you know, when it's super cold outside, -20, -30 degrees Celsius. And that way you already have warm feet, but then also you have to start moving right away as soon as possible. Otherwise, you know, the whole system gets cold. But yeah, this is super, super important, very beneficial, and the way to actually start your climb with warm feet. And there are a lot of great features to this one. There's like a aluminum infrared reflecting foil in there. I don't know if you can see that through the camera, but that also helps with the isolation and keeping your heat inside the shoe. You have a super nice and easy quick fix system, so you can even do that with gloves or cuffs, because closing the shoes with these, how do you say, bands, There's probably an English term, I don't know, which is embarrassing. Okay, but yeah, this has a super easy quick fix system. You can just pull them, you know, and then they're loose, and you can open them, or you can then fixate them, and then you can close them. That's super nice. And also they added like a the zipper has a certain shape, so you can easily pull them up. But to be quite honest with you, once you're in there, sometimes it's a little bit tricky to get it up, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, after a little bit of practice and exercising, that works just fine. And yeah, these are basically made for 7,000 meters plus, I would say. As you can see, again, they have the same features here and here for the crampons. And yeah, I would say probably these are state of the art. But of course, there are other good shoes. Other 8,000er mountaineers, alpinists, or solo climbers that are very, very fast, that have a kind of a speedy style, like let's say Uli Steck, for example. What they use is they also had kind of an expedition shoe, but not as heavy as this one is, and not as big as this one is. They had some kind of hybrid in between these two. So it was still warm enough, it was still hard enough and stiff enough. You could still attach all the gear, the crampons to it, but they were not as big and heavy and clunky, and they could move faster. This is also a strategy that you can use if you're going 7,000 plus, but you really have to know what you're doing, and you have to be very experienced and very fast. Because I think with these shoes you have less isolation and temperature cover, and therefore it's more possible that you get colder feet, but you can counter that with just moving fast. So if you're a very, very, very fast person, speedy climber, but this is just 0.1% of mountaineers anyways, but yeah, you can get away with that strategy with a very light and speedy shoe. But you have to be moving constantly, your body needs to move, so you're constantly circulating the blood and your feet stay warm. Otherwise, your feet get cold too fast and you might lose your toes, and you don't want that to happen. So another strategy I used on my first 8,000er without oxygen is, and some people of you may think this is a cheater move, a cheater strategy or not, and that is not real alpinism. Maybe, sure, but I was using a heating sole in there. So these are just standard inlays or soles you can put in there. They have a wire into it and a battery attached to your ankle, and they keep your feet warm for let's say 6 to 8 hours. So I use these heating soles, those feet warmers, because I really didn't want to lose any toes, and I didn't want to have to turn around only because my feet are cold. You know, there are so many mountaineers, they are at 8,400 meters close, or let's say only like 200 meters short of the summit. They are still strong, the weather is good, their condition is good and everything, but they can already feel their feet, or not feel their feet anymore. They're numb, they cannot feel them anymore, and they have a serious risk of losing their toes, and then they have to turn around just because their feet got cold. And in order to avoid that, I have heating soles in my shoes when I go higher than 8,000 or on summit day. And that is quite a nice perk. Especially, you know, you have to consider you're starting usually at 12 o'clock and at midnight. So until the sun goes up, you are at least 5, 6, 7 hours in the ice, in the snow, without sun, you know, and it's super, super cold up there. And heating soles can compensate for that time, for that amount in the night. And once the sun comes up, usually you get warmer, your body gets warmer, and your feet and everything gets warmer again. But until the sun gets up, you're freezing cold, and this is quite problematic. And so many mountaineers had to turn around because of cold feet, and they didn't want to risk to lose any toes. And yeah, expeditions can be expensive. Thousands of dollars or euros or whatever currency got lost because people had to turn around just because of cold feet. So yeah, maybe think about that and consider that as well, having heating soles in your shoes as well. If you want to know more about that and how I did it, feel free, let me know in the comments if you want to know more about heating soles and cold feet. One more feature I have to talk about is, you see these crampons here. Let's talk a little bit more about crampons, not too much, but as you can see, these crampons here have this shape, these spikes, and how the spikes are arranged with this shoe or these crampons. And these nice crampons here have a different geometry of the spikes. As you can see here, they are shaped like these, and the left ones are shaped like this. The main reason is this is for standard walking on a glacier, you know, not too steep of a surface and no special climbing required. But if you're actually going into more ice climbing, more technical routes, more steep routes, and maybe into vertical ice, these are super helpful, because that way you can really use these and use the small rocks, for example, to stand on, or you can ram your crampon or your feet into the ice wall and actually have a good step. So these are the differences of crampons and which ones to use for which circumstance. So what else do we have left? Yeah, let me know if I forgot something special about any of these shoes, if you want to know more about some kind of shoe, and then I'll go into depth. What else do we have? What do you think about these ones? These are down booties. They are also for expeditions, if you're in base camp and you want to have warm feet. These are quite nice. They have downs, and once your feet are in there, or maybe in the tent, it's super nice and comfy. Maybe unnecessary, but hey, on an expedition you spend quite a lot of time in the base camp and you get cold feet, so these can get quite comfy. So yeah, I got these to, I took these with me to Everest Base Camp because they were just so comfy and I really enjoyed having them. Yeah, what else? Oh yeah, maybe you haven't heard of these ones. These are special shoes for a very special purpose. These are flip-flops, and they are best used when you're on a beach, or maybe no, actually your bare feet are best used on a beach, but yeah, I'm just kidding. These are holiday shoes.